If I'd already gone to college, didn't need the GI Bill, but I, it's always a nice bonus. I wanted like the experience, and quite frankly, I wanted um, something I felt like was a noble indenture. Like dismantling explosives. I felt like was a pretty good thing to do. I don't want to be like a door kicker, like a infantry. I didn't feel like taking lives was something that I wanted to sign up for, but I it wasn't very long when I got in that I started to see that things weren't quite what I thought they were. Um, the very first day of basic training, like official day, I was there for about a week. The first day of training, I witnessed a friend die in front of me. Um, that was quite shocking. But it was also shocking with how my command um, dealt with it. I had a drill sergeant that was former special forces, and he kind of pulled us into a room. I think it was like hours later, and he's basically like, people die every day. Like, you guys got to get through this, and you got to do your job. Um, but that was kind of the rhetoric was, he served his country, and even though he didn't do anything, he died from. They weren't letting us drink water at one point, and they were making us do extremely exerting exercises with what's called front rucksacking. We got a bunch of stuff in our duffel bags, and it's on the front of us, making us do jumping jacks and all kinds of running and sitting inside of this big um, type of like tent thing with like astroturf underneath it, and so we were highly exerted. Obviously, not drinking water in the middle of the summer in Missouri. It's going to be pretty hot. Um, it The mental health, or rather how they deal with mental health in the military, is honestly a joke. um, I've gone to mental health while in, and like what he was talking about in the video, um, the rest of your unit kind of ostracizes you, and in fact it was encouraged a lot of the time to treat us differently, because we're, for lack of a better term, being a pussy. um, when I was dealing with the friend who died, I went to a chaplain, and he's a religious guy. It's basically like a priest. Like, that's his whole job, is to provide spiritual comfort. Um, and he said that exact line. That's why thought it was kind of weird. He told me to clean the sand out of my vagina and basically, deal with it. Um, Needless to say, I never went back and saw that guy ever again. But mental health is, a lot of times they'll just prescribe you a lot of drugs. Um, they gave me different medications. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep right, couldn't go to the bathroom. So they gave me medication for everything. Um, I had one friend that was in my unit. She was prescribed fentanyl patches. At the time, fentanyl was fairly new. She almost died from it. She was given a really high dosage. And the patches obviously go on your arm, and so it's like direct to your bloodstream. And I've seen people, try to kill themselves in the lobby of the mental health. I had a friend that he started cutting his arm with a knife, like going upstream, is what it's called, and cutting his arm. And I've had people try to kill themselves, like in front of me. Um, I've talked somebody out of killing themselves before at basic training on Fire Watch, is what it was called. Um, it's it's a weird profession to go into, because it's nothing like what you'll ever experience out in civilian life. Um, I can't really say it's a job because it's a commitment. It's not like a job. A job you can just quit. You can't go into the military and say, "Well, this isn't for me." I don't like this. You signed a contract. It's a legally binding contract. Um, and quite frankly, you kind of need to be a lawyer to read a lot of this stuff because they put a lot of military jargon into the contract. And it's pretty thick. Like there's a lot of stuff you sign. That's why when you get to basic, it's a full week of just you signing papers in different like departments. Um, and you're kind of treated like cattle in a sense. They make you go through this line where you have your arms exposed on both sides, and they just give you a ton of vaccines. Like they take the vaccines and they put them in like a in their hand like this, and they just jab your arm on both sides and just like push the plungers in to get it, get you through the line. There was a point where they actually put us in cattle cars. They were literally cattle cars, and there's no seats. We had to stand, together um, to get transported. So that's kind of the like how it starts out. Um, and then from there, you're kind of encouraged to be very aggressive. Like, anyone here ever heard of cadences before? You ever heard that term? Yeah, in the back. Yeah, the cadences are basically like you ever see movies where people are singing and they're marching and they're left right type stuff. That's a cadence. So some of the cadences that we would sing to kind of get us comfortable with dehumanizing people. I went into the church, watched them all pray, pulled out my Uzi, blew them all away. There's one about chopping kids with machetes. There's one about napalm sticks to kids. There's one about a little bird, and it sounds pretty, you know, like there's nothing wrong with it, but you're actually throughout the thing you're doing different like stomping, and you're actually talking about killing the bird by stomping on it. Um, so it's like these little things that you don't really think about because it's this like group mentality. Everybody's doing it. Everyone's having like a good time. You're just running and singing these chants. But what you don't realize is that you're slowly sculpting yourself to be more comfortable, that it's okay to be aggressive. Um, One of the courses that we go through, you're wearing full battle rattle. It's, your Kevlar, your vest, your M16. But they would give us bayonets. And we haven't used bayonets since World War II. But they give you these bayonets because at the end of the course, there's a body that's like, stacked up. It's a fake body, and you have to stab it repeatedly after you've just gone through this long course. And you have to yell at the top of your lungs, kill, kill, kill. And if they don't like if your enthusiasm is not enough, and they don't like how you did it, they'll make you redo the whole course. So stuff like that, slowly giving you the sense of, camaraderie with your battle buddies, the people next to you, but also taking a life. We didn't refer to them as insurgents or terrorists. We call them Hajis. We call them towel heads. Um, call them sand N word. Like these are the terms that a lot of us used. Um, Basically being racist openly. Obviously, you can't do it out in public, but in closed doors and stuff, people would had this rhetoric